Hi guys, this is RuinWorks again, just bringing you our latest release for April 2023. This is the 5th installment in the Dwarven Ruins of Grunvyr series, and it features a scene called the Forge Halls. This is a 3-level scene, so here's the bottom floor, which I've named the Forge floor, second floor, which is the Chainworks, and the third floor, which is the Valve Rooms. The idea behind this scene is that this is the area where the Dwarves of Grunvyr would smelt their ore and make iron ingots, and then also forge weapons, armor, pipes, other things out of metal in this area too. To that end, here in the center of the map, we have room C, which is the smelter. I'll go into a bit more detail on that in a bit. Here in D, we have the formworks room, and over here in I, we have the forge itself. Over to the right of the scene, you can see an entrance to the mines. So this is where they would be bringing the ore in. It would come down here around the bottom of the scene and up to the Chainworks level, where they could put it into the crucible and melt down their ore, smelt it. Across the middle of the Chainworks floor, there is a giant chain that spans across these two rooms, C and D. It would move this crucible, which you guys can move as you please, along the chains back and forth to allow for the smelted ore to be formed into bars. How is this chain move, you might ask? So, well, if you go up to room 3, you can see that the water that came in through the aqueducts in previous levels would now come through here, through this valve, and either pour on either side of this wheel, turning the chainworks one way or the other. I think I'll mention right now that if you go to the top left of the scene, we do have our guide again. I always have a general note, and then there are 18 rooms, which I've provided a bit of detail on to give you a jumping off point for however you want to run the scene. I'll also note more details to the brief history of Grunvyr. So now I have a bit more background on how Grunvyr exists today, what might be some of the challenges within. And also I'm going to do that for each of the scenes, and I've just started off with the first one, the mountain entrance, how I would have set that up. So I'll start with the main feature of the dungeon, which is this magical smelter here in room C. The smelter had been set up to hold fire elementals or some other fire-based creature that could be harnessed to smelt the ores that the dwarves were using. So I'll just bring out a couple tokens to show you how this works. And the way that the smelter is designed to work, dwarves would come up onto the top of the smelter and stand in 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D. Once all those 4 locations are occupied by a token, the middle hatch at the top of the smelter would open, allowing the heat from the fire elementals out and to heat the crucible with the ore in it and smelt it down. When you have a token selected and they move into one of these spots, you can see that the area will light up briefly before fading, and this is true for all of them. Now the key to getting open the hatch in the middle is to ensure there is a token in each of the 4 locations. I'm just going to remove the vision from one of the tokens here, just to make it a bit easier to show what's going on. In the left-hand margin, I've placed a tracking table, which I've named the Smelter button counter. It should really be the Smelter Rune Circle counter. And what it does is tracks how many of the rune circles here at 1A, 1B, 1C, and 1D have been activated. So when a token steps into one of those squares, you can see the counter moves down to 1. So now you know 1 has been activated. If that token is to leave that square, the counter moves back up. So what this means is the smelter can only be opened if there is a token in each of those 4 areas. So I'll just quickly demonstrate that. So now 3 of them are occupied. If I select the 4th guy, we'll see on the left that the counter has moved down to 3. Once the counter moves down to the hashed square, which will happen when the last token enters, 1C, the GM will be given the option to start the smelter sequence. What this does is, again, just opens the hatch at the top of the smelter. You can see as this token entered the last square, the counter moved down into the hashed area, and the GM is sent a notification. The game is paused, all 4 smelter buttons are occupied, activate the smelter door sequence. On a no, nothing happens, and then if the tokens move out, you can see the counter again moves away. So if you move a token back in, and we click yes instead, there'll be a magic sound play, second magic sound will play, and then you'll hear the hatches open. It's at this point that in my own campaign, I would imagine fire elementals come out of here angry at being trapped and attack the party. What you want to do with the smelter is, of course, your own prerogative. There might be some treasure inside, like leftover smelted mithril or adamantine, which players might want to take and get made into armors of their own choosing. So I'll just delete the tokens for simplicity, but if you ever need to reset the smelter counter puzzle here, you can just hit the reset button up here beside smelter button counter panel. And if you don't want to deal with the pressure plates, you can also just trigger it manually by hitting the little play button here. And it just goes through the same sequence. So what I'll do for the rest of the video is just quickly take you through the rest of the scene using a token so you can see what it looks like.